Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Burns.
Yeah, Nancy Burns here.
And we're from Future Theater. And you know what we like to listen to?
Bang.
Radio on Sunday nights at 9 p.m.
At 9 p.m.?
What
Eastern.
network?
Oh, the best network on the whole entire internet. Inception Radio Network.
You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin.
Radio host for Pang Radio, Mike Lucas.
Welcome to Pang Radio. Tonight is December 7th, 2014, a Sunday night, of course. Welcome to Pang Radio. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Ken Storch. We are happy to be back after a 2-week hiatus.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. You know, Ken got to travel a little, and we all got to do the holidays, Thanksgiving. I hope everyone had some good turkey. And Ken, we are not turkey people. I made the best ham with a whiskey glaze on it, so it was really good.
Hey, you know what? There's very few things that I will not eat. And I'm omnivorous. I'll eat anything, and that sounds absolutely delicious. Okay. Have you ever had a turkey fried in peanut oil?
I have. That is another good way to cook a turkey.
I kind of like that. You know, it's not traditional in the sense that, you know, Mom used to do, but I'll tell you what, it's not bad.
No, it is not. We had it out. Actually, had it out at a barbecue in the summer one time at a friend's house. But they pulled out their little vat, poured in the peanut oil, and it was a lot better than I thought it would be. I would rather eat it that way and put it in the oven.
Yeah, I've had Kahlua turkey too, and I'll tell you what, that's a Hawaiian recipe. It's not bad. It's pretty damn good.
Ken, you got any shout-outs for anybody?
I do. I just want to shout out to Chance and Mindy and Larry and George and Doug. And I think Marilyn and Dick are listening, and I think Lorna's listening too. I want to say hi. And to some of the people up there in upstate New York.
There you go. Perfect. I'd like to say hello all our listeners all over the world supporting Pang Radio and the Inception Radio Network. We definitely appreciate you all listening. If it wasn't for you, this network would not be here, and we try to bring you the latest news on guests or even crop circles. Nancy's been researching for over 25 years, so tonight when we bring her on in about 5 minutes, we're going to be covering the metaphysical side of crop circles, UFOs, balls of light, and even a Dutch man that can predict where next one's going to be. So that's got to have some good questions for that.
I know I've got a lot of questions from the last show, okay? But
Ken's knee deep
absolutely,
in questions,
you know what? It's a fascinating subject. I don't have an explanation for it, so I'm open to Nancy's interpretation of the evidence.
Right. And the 2 weeks ago, she went over a lot of the scientific evidence. You know, the soil, the formation of, you know, the formica and beads, and then the nodes are, you know, exploding. I mean, there's a lot of scientific evidence there, but it's going to be really neat tonight to listen to the metaphysical side and why the hell they're showing up.
Yeah, I would. There's got to be a motive, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I see chat's pretty slow tonight. Sunday night. Who's playing football tonight? I wonder if there's a good game.
The Patriots and the San Diego Chargers.
I'd rather be here.
Man, it will be a good game.
Yeah, it will be a good game. I usually after the show, Ken, I usually go turn it on. If it's a close game, I'll turn and watch the.
Yeah, I to be honest with you, I can't take a whole day of football. There's maybe one or two games that I like to catch, but I don't watch the entire game.
No.
I have yet to see an entire Bronco game. And that's the truth.
And
I'm a Bronco fan.
I'll watch a whole Packer game, but if there's a secondary game on, like today I was watching the Vikings and Spurts and the Lions game, and don't really. Yeah, I mean, I'll have it on in the house as I'm doing something. I'll hear it in the background, and I can't sit. Well, it's hard to me to sit and watch another team unless I really want them to lose in the pack. It's to the pack's advantage.
Hey, I understand that they restrict drones within 3 miles of any National Football League stadium while it's in play.
Is that correct? Wow, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. And I was just reading an article about, MJ, about drones and artificial intelligence, computers. And, I have said this for years. That's like peanut butter and jelly, pizza and beer. They go together.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, too well. I think that's a very dangerous road to go down, is turning over a drone that's going to be controlled by its own brain, supposedly, programmed with a kill switch built in. Okay.
Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong with this idea?
Yeah, that's just like the Terminator happening all over. I mean, it's like some of these movies are predicting some of our future here.
Well, I've got several acres that I have here in Northeast Oklahoma. I live in rural part of it. And, I started carrying a rifle with me on the four-wheeler for the strict purpose of shooting a drone if it's on my property.
Ah, cool.
Hey, in Deerfield, Colorado, I think the mayor, they passed an ordinance that they're going to have a drone season. If they see them in the air, they can shoot them.
That is awesome.
Hey, I tell you what. Hey, if you're going to fly them, they become legitimate targets.
Right,
okay?
right. I mean, yeah, that is correct. I mean, if it's on your own property, I mean, if it's a danger to you, shoot it out of the sky.
Well, you know what? There's the key phrase right there, MJ. That hey, if it's capable of flying, it's capable of being a weapon. We've already proved that. Hell, the president of the United States is killing people left and right with drones.
Right.
Yeah. So why couldn't you have a smaller version of a, Predator type drone armed with a 22 round or, some kind of shotgun round or something like that? It could become a very lethal weapon.
You got to think too. I mean, you shoot one of them down, you're getting possible government hardware, this top secret stuff. I mean, that's going to have some alphabet agencies at your house pretty quick.
Yeah, that would have to probably have to do some singing and dancing around that one, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, they'd probably be there.
Well, and hey, and I'm one of those that think that hey, we know that government agencies use them. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're the military is really into drones, and the private sector is becoming. I mean, they offer some really advantages.
Oh yeah.
Airborne eye in the sky.
Yep. We're being watched. Definitely.
Yeah, that's the reason why I tell people at the end of the show, keep an eye to the sky, because there's a lot going on, not just flying saucers and ET. There's a whole lot more going on in the sky. And people should be looking upwards and not down at the ground so much.
There's a lot of eyes looking back at us that we don't know of. Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, let's bring in Nancy here. Let's call her and bring her in live. Here we go. Skype has been updated tonight, folks, so I've got it under control, but it looks a lot different. It's not too hard to manage.
Yeah, that's what a pilot says.
Yep. We're calling Nancy, but I don't hear a ringtone, so this could be... Hopefully this isn't a Skype issue tonight.
Hello.
Good evening, Nancy. Welcome to Paying Radio again.
Hello, and how are you guys tonight?
We are doing excellent. How are you over on the East Coast there?
Well, I'm fine. No snow, not too cold, life's good.
Good.
Well, we'll wait a couple of days. We'll change that for you.
Tonight we're going to talk about Robbert, right?
Yeah, let's get into it right now. Let's do it.
All right. Well, I've got a program organized here that I think will help. The first thing you need to do is go to the BLT website, bltresearch.com.
Okay. We are there.
When you get there, on the left-hand side, there's a menu, and you want to click on Van den Broeke case. It's the 5th or 6th thing down.
There he is. Yep.
7th, actually.
Got him.
Okay. What we've got here is a basic introduction of, I've known him, been working with this case. It's without question the most interesting thing that's going on in the crop circle world, and has been for some time. He's the only guy in the world who knows when they're coming. But I've got an introduction there which describes some of my early experiences. There's a video with his sisters and parents talking about some of what they've seen. And if you scroll down, you'll see some of the photographs of crop circles, behind his house, some of the sampling that we've done, graphs showing the kind of results. But I want you to keep scrolling all the way down until you see a video, the One Love video.
I see.
Guy sitting on a step with a guitar. And beneath that are all of these individual reports that describe these huge variety of events that go on around him, including the discovery of crop circles, etc., many other things. And I wanted to start with the thing that got me involved. And if you scroll down through those reports, you're going to keep going down and down and down to the picture of his face, October 2006. It's down near the bottom of that list.
Got it.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay. The very first part here describes this business of me first getting involved. I'd heard about him in 1996. One of our field workers in the Netherlands had called me to tell me that he had just heard about this young kid, Robbert was 15 or 16 at the time, who had never heard of crop circles, but he had been out on his bike going along the dikes one afternoon and had actually witnessed light balls forming a crop circle. And I was told this, and I, being very interested in the science at that point, I didn't really take it too seriously. I kind of filed it in the back, But then in 1997, I got another call from the same field worker saying that this time a huge glowing ball of light had approached this kid's, there's a small balcony off the back of the house where he lives, and it's off of his bedroom. Now, this house backs up to a farm field. It's a very rural area of southern Holland, and it's mostly farming. This is a tiny little village with a small development along a field, a farm field there. And Robbert and his younger sister Madeline had been apparently in his bedroom listening to music. And this huge ball of light had suddenly appeared immediately outside these floor-to-ceiling glass doors that looked out from his bedroom onto this tiny little balcony, and beyond that was the farm field. They had been frightened by this ball of light and went running downstairs to get their parents. And when they came back up, the ball of light was gone, but there were burn marks on the eaves overhanging that balcony. There were burn marks on the outsides of the doors, and there was a pile of white powder. And the first picture you see there underneath Robert's is a picture of this white powder on the floor of that balcony. Now, Robert's parents are middle class. Father was a banker, in fact, managed one of the robo-banks. This is the major bank in Holland. Obviously, people not inclined in a mystical direction. Very pragmatic, I would say. And the father, the banker, wanted to find out if that white powder could be analyzed, and that's why the field worker was calling me, because we have all of these scientists, who consult with the BLT Research work. And so I said, yes, of course we could do it, but they'd have to get me a sample and the details of the event. And they did and sent it off, and we did do an analysis. And if you scroll down a little bit farther, you're going to see infrared spectroscopy graphs, which indicated that this material was magnesium carbonate. Now, let's go back to the main menu again, go back to Robert's page, and scroll down again to these reports, because This time we're going to go to the report listed. There's a picture of white powder in a crop circle, and the date on that is July 2010.
Okay.
There's 99.99% pure hydromagnesite.
Got it.
Got that? Okay, open that up. Now, this white powder has occurred many times in a number of crop circles, and I just wanted to show you how thoroughly this particular incident was analyzed. If you scroll down past the pictures of the light balls and all the other stuff, you're going to get down, you're going to see a picture of a man holding a newspaper in which there's a sample of the white powder. We knew that magnesium carbonate doesn't burn, and this is a Dutch guy who had collected some of it, and he was trying to burn it, but it didn't burn, as we had said. And if you scroll down farther, you're going to see something that says Frontier Analysis Limited. This is Phyllis Budinger's laboratory in Ohio, and she was the first person that we sent the material to get an analysis. And if you scroll down to where it says Results, you will see infrared analysis, and then the spectrum again showing you that this white powder is magnesium carbonate. It's a perfect match for it. But we wanted to know more. Magnesium carbonate is not unusual. It's not something you would find just lying around anywhere. And magnesium oxide is what you would expect to see in a flare, for instance. But this was not magnesium oxide. It was magnesium carbonate. So we then asked for something called an isotopic analysis. It's ICP-MS. And what we were looking there is to see exactly how much magnesium was in the sample and what else was in it. We also did something called a semi-quantitative analysis, showing us in a more detailed degree the amount of magnesium, the amount of calcium, and whatever else may have been in, the other elements in this stuff. And then finally, if you go down a little bit farther, you're going to see under the addendum, this is beneath a picture again of the white powder in grass. We actually got a guy at the USGS, a Dr. Eberl, who works with us now. He's a geologist and a mineralogist. And I asked him if he could do X-ray diffraction. And I knew the results from all of these tests would give us a lot more information. And it turned out that what, in fact, this material was, and all of the other samples, it turns out, because we resubmitted them also for additional testing, turned out to be this 99.99% pure magnesium carbonate, or hydromagnesite, as it's called. Now, the purity level of this is what is so utterly bizarre. None of these scientists could offer any idea as to how a material of this purity level, this is laboratory grade hydromagnesite, could possibly have, appeared on this balcony in southern Holland in conjunction with the appearance of the light ball. Okay, now we go back to Robert's main page again, and we're going to talk about an even more extraordinary incident, again, of this white powder, this much more recent. You're going to see a picture of a butterfly, it's actually a moth, sitting on a table covered in the white powder, November 2013.
Yep, got it.
Okay. Now, this is about as bizarre as it gets. It may take a second to open. It's a PDF file. But this is one of the incidents of this same white powder, it turns out, appearing inside Robert's home one night. He had been up, as he always is. He's a night person and is usually up all night long. And he'd been downstairs, as is his habit, but hadn't felt any particular energy, which he normally does if something's going on. And I guess he went up to bed 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And it was around 5 o'clock, because an hour later, his elder sister, Saskia, arose and went through the living room to go to the kitchen, to fix some coffee, and found this huge Atlas moth lying on the table. And this is in January, I'm almost sure. Yeah, it's January 11th in 2010. This is in the middle of winter. The white powder scattered all over the place. She didn't touch it, but her parents, when they got up, nobody touched it at all. They took photographs, etc., and then called me to tell me about it. The house that this is Robert's parents' home at this time, is built like Fort Knox. It is locked within an inch of its life at night. The windows in the downstairs do not open. They're all sealed. The front door is locked with 3 or 4 locks. Everything's locked. And there's no way that anybody could get in there without the parents knowing, because their bedroom was on the first floor, very near the front door. And yet, here is this moth, which turns out to be from Indonesia. It does not live in Holland, ever. And it definitely doesn't live in Holland in freezing cold weather,
Right.
And here it is, perfectly intact. It's dead, but perfectly intact, and again covered with the white powder. Now, if you scroll down a little bit and start looking at the pictures, you're going to see that on this table, there's a ceramic vase with some plastic. No, they're not plastic. They were cloth, fake flowers, pink roses.
Mm-hmm.
And it was then noticed that these pink roses, and if you keep scrolling down, you'll see close-ups, were burned all around the edges of the petals. Got that picture, the one that shows the close-up?
Yep.
Now, again, magnesium carbonate, one of the purposes that it's used for, the humans use it for, is as a fire retardant. It's often found in fire extinguishers. And I've wondered for a long time whether its presence in the crop circles, and given the burning on the outside of Robert's balcony on that first incident, was it present in order to stop any real fire from starting. Now, if you keep scrolling down, the next picture is going to show you these burn marks that were found on the frame of one of the windows that is directly behind where this table was sitting. And apparently the burn marks were caused at the same time that the moth appeared and the white powder. We also found white powder on the floor directly underneath those burn marks on the frame. And the next picture down shows you the white powder really just all over one of those roses.
I see that, yeah.
Now, beneath that, we have all of the analysis, again, the infrared spectra, which again show us that is the magnesium carbonate, the X-ray diffraction work, etc. And we were sure, again, that this was this 99.99% pure hydromagnesite. Well, it was quite exciting because nothing like this had happened before, and Robbert has a friend in Holland who now is the guy who takes all the photographs of the crop circles, and he called this guy, his name is Roy, and Roy came over to see this also. The family doesn't touch anything until it's all very well documented, and Roy was terribly excited. He was really thrilled about the whole thing, and while he was there with Robbert, photographing all of this, he went out to his car to get another camera because he wanted to get really close-up shots. And Robbert was standing in the doorway of the house. It's only the roads are very close to the front doors there. The car was parked maybe maximum 8 feet away in front of the front door. So Robbert's standing in the front door. Roy is going out through the ice and snow to his car to get a better camera. And Roy had his eyes down because there was ice all over the place and he didn't want to kill himself. So he didn't see what Robbert then saw. Suddenly a flash of light, a ball of light, came from quite down low in front of Roy's car and bam, hit the windshield, which Robbert saw and yelled to alert Roy to. Roy then gets out of the back seat where he's been fumbling around for his camera, goes to the front of the car, and found what you see in that next picture. This time it's a tailed jay butterfly sitting on the windshield of his car, apparently deposited by this ball of light. Now, a little bit of research let us know that this tailed jay is also indigenous only to Southeast Asia. It does not live in Holland ever, and it definitely, again, does not live in Holland in the middle of winter in freezing weather. It couldn't survive. Mm-hmm. So we then have a couple of pictures of the tailed jay up close. Now, there's something kind of curious about these two insects from Southeast Asia. First of all, Roy had fairly recently come back from a trip, and he was interested in butterflies, had been all of his life. And while he was in Asia, in Jakarta, I think, he happened to take a photograph. Oh, no, actually, this was in Australia where he'd taken this, of exactly one of these butterflies, this tailed jay. And then, the very next spring, now remember, this is January of 2010 that all this stuff is going on in Holland. Mm-hmm. But the following year, for the very first time, in Southeast Asia, we had reports of crop circles appearing in the exact areas where these insects normally live. And I have pictures there showing you the first one, which was in Jakarta on the island of Java in rice. And then there's another crop circle. A second one was discovered on January 25th, 2011, also on Java and also in rice. In that second picture, you can see the rice is at different stages of maturity. The dark one in the center is ready for harvest. The rice on either side has been more freshly planted. But what was curious to me, and what I've wondered, there's no proof of this, but it's a very curious coincidence that these two insects appear where they cannot. They literally just simply cannot be flying through the air in Holland, and particularly inside Robert's house. And yet the following year, almost exactly a year later, here come these two crop circles in Indonesia, right in the area where these, where these insects are likely to be found, where they're indigenous.
So does this happen? Has this anything else tied him into any other crop circles, like any other type of animal or insect? To anything else that's going to appear?
That's what I wanted to go to next. You are just asking good questions. All right, go back to Robert's page and to that list of reports. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about two crop circles. There are tons of them, but I'm just going to pick two that Robbert, he knows whenever a crop circle is getting ready to happen in southern Holland, anywhere in his area. He always knows before it comes, and we're going to look at a couple of those in a minute, because he sees what they're going to be, he knows where they're going to be, and he often knows in what kind of crop. But these are two American cases that I thought people would find interesting. You'll see a picture of a boy with a board in a field of grass in June 2011. Mm-hmm. Robbert sees Paperboy making U.S. crop circle. If you open that up, that's this little story. Robbert and I are in touch all the time on Skype, but on this particular afternoon, I got a notice from the website. There's a contact form there for people to report a crop circle to me, And a reporter in this little teeny town in Hardy, Virginia, which I don't exactly know exactly where that is, but anyhow, this guy had emailed me that a crop circle had appeared in Hardy, Virginia. He sent me a couple of pictures of it and asked me if I could tell him whether it was man-made or not. And I keep telling people, I can't tell by looking. We have to actually do the science to know for sure. But before I got back to him, just for the heck of it, I sent one of the pictures to Robbert, because a lot of the circles in Holland in the early part of the year occur in grass, mm-hmm. and he'd never seen one in grass in any other country. And I wasn't thinking, it didn't even occur to me to ask him about whether this was real. I was just sending it to him because I thought he'd like to see a circle in another country in grass,
Right.
So he gets the picture, And I guess I turned the computer off, and the phone rang 2 seconds later, and it was Robbert, and he said, watch out, that one is man-made. And I said, oh? And he immediately then tells me, yep, it's a young boy with brown hair. It's on the back of his neck, he meant in a ponytail. He usually wears a black cap. He delivers the papers in this area, and his name is Mike. Now, I thought that was pretty precise information.
Oh, yeah.
So I wrote it all down, and then called the man who had submitted the original photo to me to ask him. And when I got him on the phone, I said, by any chance, is there a young boy with brown hair, ponytail in the back of his neck, usually wears a black cap, he delivers the papers in your area, and his name is Mike? Is there such a person? And the guy nearly fell off the chair. He said, how did you know that? And I said, well, if I told you, you'll never believe me.
Right.
But in fact, Robbert knows. It takes one look at a circle if he's paying attention, and he knows. And this was one of the American cases. Now I want to go to one that's more interesting, also in America, and much more recent. There was a big to-do about this, but all they had to do was ask Robbert. Scroll up again among all of the reports to the photograph of the crop circle in Chualar, California. This is December 2013.
Got it.
Okay. Again, this was reported to me by not a television, a newspaper reporter. Before any of this was out, or it wasn't out and around, it had just been discovered. And this guy does exactly the same thing the first one did. He sends me one photograph of the circle and expects me to tell him on the phone, just by looking at it, whether it's real or not. And I again tried very hard to get across to him that, no, you can't tell by looking. The people that make these things can make very fancy things. We have to do the actual work. But he wasn't, as most of these reporters, they're not interested, they don't want to hear the details. But at any rate, I told him I would see if I could get field workers out there to get it sampled, and see what we could find out. And again, this one, and I don't remember for sure whether I might have asked Robbert this time, but I sent Robbert the photograph. And he was on Skype when I sent it, so he and I were talking. And he looks at it and says absolutely immediately that it's man-made. I thought it was too, just from looking at it, but I don't trust what I think when I look at them. So I say, okay, what else can you tell me? Now remember that Robbert is Dutch. He can speak English, some English, and his English is pretty good now actually, but he doesn't read or write it. And he has no idea where he has no idea where anything in the States is. He doesn't travel at all and doesn't have a clue. He probably didn't even know California was on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. But he immediately starts giving me details. And the very first thing he said to me was, and remember, he doesn't write in English, Cressetti's Custom Landwork. He spells it out for me on Skype. And he spells it perfectly, except he left out the apostrophe after the I, Cressetti apostrophe S. He left the apostrophe out. He just says Cressetti's Custom Landwork. And I'm thinking, what in the hell is custom landwork? I don't even know what it is. But then he keeps on going. He says people in California, they know who made this circle, and they have a strong connection to this Cressetti's Custom Landwork place. And then he says, I see a tractor driver. And he's not making the circle. He's working in a field across the street, and he's there on Saturday. Now, the reporter who had called me was calling me on a Monday and told me it had been made on Monday. Robbert says, no, it was made on Saturday, and he sees this guy sitting on a tractor working in a field nearby who sees the people who are making it. He was very clear that this guy on the tractor had nothing to do with making it. He was simply an observer. So the first thing I did while I was still on Skype with him, I Googled Cressetti's custom land work plus California to see if I could, if there was such a place. And if you scroll down, you're going to see the map. And sure enough, there is a Cressetti's custom land work operation only 20 miles south of where the circle had been found. It's not like I'm getting surprised when Robbert does this anymore, but I was a little surprised here because he had the name, so correctly. So I told him right then that, gee whiz, there really is a Cressetti's custom land work, and I've got the map here. So then he went on a little bit more about this guy on the tractor and said that I think he told me that he was a Mexican or an immigrant of some kind, and gave me a number of details then about the people who actually made the circle. Now, I've got a picture in there of the tractor because what I did was I got a telephone number for Cressetti's custom land work, and I called them. And I got a woman named Gloria, who's one of the owners apparently, and she confirmed that, yes, they had a man working on one of their tractors in a field right across the road from where that crop circle was being made. And yes, he was there on Saturday, not Monday. So I was kind of amazed with all of that. My computer, I had an old computer then, and it died right after all of this. And so I wasn't kept informed about some of the stuff that was going on the internet about about this circle. There were a lot of people debating, whether it was real or not. And nobody takes samples; they just like to look at them and make up their minds. But after talking to Gloria, I already knew that this tractor driver was there, and so I figured that Robbert's description of the people who made the circle. If you scroll down a little bit farther, you'll see a couple pictures of the circle close up. And then below that, you're going to see it's on, I don't know what page. I don't know what the hell page it is. But it's a drawing. Because Robert's description in Dutch is sometimes, I don't always understand it. I asked him to make a drawing of this guy that he saw actually making the crop circle. And I put in all the details that he got. He said this guy had a very wide, unusually wide mouth, bushy sideburns that were kind of like men used to wear at the turn of the century, these mutton chop kind of things.
Oh, yeah.
He was wearing dark glasses, and he had a cap with some red in it. And then he told me that there was somebody else who was broad-shouldered and not too tall, and this guy was very pleased with himself, but he was in the summer years of his life. And then he said there were other people there working with this guy who were from the general area, who were local. This other guy was not. And he described some of the clothes that they were wearing, but I was unable to find anybody who would tell me. There were people who saw the guys in the field making it, but I was unable to find anybody who could confirm for me this description that Robbert gave me of the main guy and responsible for all this, the guy who was so pleased with himself, and the people that were helping him. So I don't know for a fact that the description is accurate, but if I had to put money on it, I would bet you absolutely that it was. Robbert had also told me that the circle was made for a practical reason, and that a Rob or Robbie and also a guy named John were involved, and he kept seeing the words cannot say, C-A-N-N-O-T-S-A-Y. And it turned out, when I got a computer working again, that there was a video that these people who had made this had put up on the internet, a very spooky video, and it looked fake as hell to me. But these guys are driving along the road, and they see lights and movement in the field, and they stop the car and they get out, and it goes through this whole elaborate thing. It's a setup for, people trying to get people to believe something spooky created this crop circle. And it also turns out that there was a Rob and there was a John involved, although I don't know personally, what they look like. Now, in the video, the words "cannot say" appear over and over. In fact, I think it was in the title of the video. So, there you have a couple of examples of him not even knowing, where this is. I literally doesn't know where California is. He looks at one picture, and this is the amount of detail that...
Hey, Nancy? I got a question for you. Is his abilities strictly restricted to crop circles and the forming of crop circles?
We're gonna get there. One thing.
Okay. Because I've been taking notes, and I'm it's
I'm
interesting.
just showing you some of the crop circle stuff first.
Okay.
Because that's crazy enough. But when we start to getting into some of the other stuff, it's so much farther out. What I'm trying to do is to establish a little bit that people can relate to and realize. If Robbert can do this from across the ocean accurately, which he does all the time, these are just a couple of examples of it, maybe they can begin to understand or accept that I'm telling the truth about some of this other much wilder stuff. Now, I thought the next thing we should go to that makes some logical sense might be the recent... Robbert has seen many, many crop circles form himself. There have only now been there have been 5 of us, 5 different occasions on which he had an eyewitness, somebody else with him. The first one is me, and if you scroll all the way down to the very bottom of these reports on his page, it says August 2001, the Netherlands. This is the description that I did of the first one that I saw happen while I was with Robbert. And Unsolved Mysteries did a thing on it, and there's a video there. They did a very good job, actually, of recreating what actually happened. And the pictures here are not good because I didn't know how to make them good back then. But the basic story was that I had arrived, as I usually did in July or August sometimes, and I always stayed in Robert's room, which is the nice one at the back of the house. And so the balcony and the field is right there. If you open those floor-to-ceiling glass doors, which I always did because it was hot as the dickens, and they don't have air conditioning, and they don't use air conditioning like we do. So I always have them open, and I can look right out and see the field. And the very first thing I do when I arrive in Holland every summer is go to that balcony and take pictures of that field so I can document what it looks like when I arrive. Because I know darn well it's probably not going to look like that if I'm there for 2 or 3 weeks. So that's what I did in this case. I took a picture of the field. There's nothing there but the crop, which happens to be string beans in this particular year. This is back in 2001. Then if you scroll down, you'll see the back of the house, and that room at the top with the balcony around it, that's Robert's bedroom where I stay when I'm there. And you can see it looks right smack out towards the back where that field is. Now, what's important there in that picture is to notice the bedroom itself, which the great big tall windows and floor-to-ceiling glass doors, which were open on the night this happened. And then notice in the lower left, there's another room lit up. That's the kitchen. That's important, that both of those rooms look out toward the field. Robbert and I had been lugging around electromagnetometers and geomagnetometers that year. I was working on a project for Dr. William Roll, the parapsychologist, and he had wanted me to document electromagnetic and or geomagnetic variations in the soils where all of the crop circles that year were in Holland, to see if we could find any aberration, you see. And I had spent a couple of very hot weeks lugging this stuff all over the place to every one of the circles that had happened, taking detailed grid measurements where you walk, about 3-4 feet, and you take a measurement, another 3 or 4 feet, another 3 or 4 feet, and you crisscross the entire, like a tic-tac-toe thing, the entire formation, and you have to get readings every yard or so to see if there's any variation, any anomaly at all. And there had been none. I spent 3 weeks actually doing that. And I was really disgusted. It was a lot of work. It was hot.
To listen to the rest of this interview, please go to InceptionRadioNetwork.com and register for the Insiders Club. What is the Insiders Club? The Insiders Club is our premium content, what you've just listened to. Now, what you've just listened to is a preview of that premium content. The Insiders Club is how we pay the bills. It's how you support IRN. You join forces with IRN to get the truth out there. Now, a lot of our content is free. I mean, most of our content is free. All of our live shows are free. If you go to our archives, the vast majority of our archives are for free. But to pay the bills, to help make sure this network stays alive, stays viable, we offer those who really love our radio station, our network, and our shows an ability to support our network and become a part of IRN. Actually join forces in helping us get the truth out there. Now, how do you do this again? You go to InceptionRadioNetwork.com and you subscribe for the Insiders Club, and you'll have access to all of our archives, including this show, the rest of the show. A faster way of getting there, go to the description below this video and click on the link. And like I said, you'll be joining forces with IRN. You'll have availability of all of our content, and we really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Lorian Fenton here, host of the California MUFON radio show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today.
To listen to the rest of this interview, please go to InceptionRadioNetwork.com and register for the Insiders Club. What is the Insiders Club? The Insiders Club is our premium content, what you've just listened to. Now, what you've just listened to is a preview of that premium content. The Insiders Club is how we pay the bills. It's how you support IRN. You join forces with IRN to get the truth out there. Now, a lot of our content is free. I mean, most of our content is free. All of our live shows are free. If you go to our archives, the vast majority of our archives are for free. But to pay the bills, to help make sure this network stays alive, stays viable, we offer those who really love our radio station, our network, and our shows an ability to support our network and become a part of IRN. Actually join forces in helping us get the truth out there. Now, how do you do this again? You go to InceptionRadioNetwork.com and you subscribe for the Insiders Club, and you'll have access to all of our archives, including this show, the rest of the show. A faster way of getting there, go to the description below this video and click on the link. And like I said, you'll be joining forces with IRN. You'll have availability of all of our content, and we really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Lorian Fenton here, host of the California MUFON radio show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO sky watches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today.
To listen to the rest of this interview, please go to InceptionRadioNetwork.com and register for the Insiders Club. What is the Insiders Club? The Insiders Club is our premium content, what you've just listened to. Now, what you've just listened to is a preview of that premium content. The Insiders Club is how we pay the bills. It's how you support IRN. You join forces with IRN to get the truth out there. Now, a lot of our content is free. I mean, most of our content is free. All of our live shows are free. If you go to our archives, the vast majority of our archives are for free. But to pay the bills, to help make sure this network stays alive, stays viable, we offer those who really love our radio station, our network, and our shows an ability to support our network and become a part of IRN. Actually join forces in helping us get the truth out there. Now, how do you do this again? You go to InceptionRadioNetwork.com and you subscribe for the Insiders Club, and you'll have access to all of our archives, including this show, the rest of the show. A faster way of getting there, go to the description below this video and click on the link. And like I said, you'll be joining forces with IRN. You'll have availability of all of our content, and we really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Lorian Fenton here, host of the California MUFON radio show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO sky watches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today.